Hey everybody, welcome to Passionate About Music Education, and I am Rachel Hardman. And today I give you full permission to fail. Yes, you heard it right here. That's okay. You can fail, and you can fail more than once this year, and you can fail in a huge way or in small ways. But I give you total permission to fail. And it's really important that we take this stigma out of education about failing and making mistakes. It's okay. It's not, you can't be perfect all the time. You can't get it right all the time. It is okay to fail. And the way you use it, particularly for young teachers coming into the profession, or even oldies like me who've been teaching for a long time, you will fail. You'll do a lesson plan that doesn't work. You haven't paced it fast enough. You haven't put enough content in. It just doesn't work. Children aren't engaged in it. You just haven't pitched it right. It's okay. You learn from this. There are times when you struggle to break down the subject to the level you're teaching. So when I first started teaching, I really was fine with teaching music for the older students, the A-level students, or the equivalent of IB, or 16 to 18-year-olds, because I'd just come from university. I was really good at breaking music down for the younger students, the year 7 to 9s, the 11 to 14s. But I really struggled with breaking it down for GCSE, not making it too hard, but not making it too easy. It took a while to learn that skill. And each year I got better, and each year I went and developed, and each year I tried to improve my practice by going to courses and talking to colleagues and finding resources online. It's okay to fail. It's okay not to get it right the first time. We need to talk about this in education a lot more. Sometimes we fail in our behaviour management of a classroom, and you're going to fail a lot in those first few years because it's a brand new experience. Controlling 30 children and keeping them engaged on Friday, period 6, after a wet and windy lunchtime is hard work. For experienced teachers, it's hard work. For beginner teachers, it's finding strategies that work for you and ways of improving. So how do we take a failure and not beat ourselves up, not take it internally, not allow the mind to say you're not good enough, you're not cut out for this job, and to go home being stressed and take it very personally, which we all do. And it's, that's because we care, we want to get it right. And a couple of tips. So tip number 1, self-reflect. Review what went wrong. But not, this class were really naughty today and it was all my fault, I didn't have control. It was like, okay, the class didn't work how they should do. What didn't work? Was the pacing not fast enough? Was the task too easy? Was the task too hard? Were they late because they had been having a wet playtime and they were just soaking wet and just excitable and it had been windy? Were these factors, environmental factors, out of your control? Don't beat yourself up about it. Look at strategies of why did it go wrong and how can I fix that or improve it or experiment next time when they come into the classroom. If a lesson goes wrong, because often with like music education, bringing it down to a level of music theory, for instance, that children understand who aren't having one-to-one lessons. How do we break that down and learning to explain it? That takes time. Learning to break down complicated music theory to a level that students understand it, get it, and can do it. It takes time. So that might be where your lesson didn't work. The explanation was too complicated or too easy and they didn't really grasp the task. It's okay. This is quite normal in teaching. So again, it's okay to make these mistakes. It's okay to fail. We are educators on a lifelong journey of learning. That's what we want our students to do. We have to do that too. So if your lesson didn't work, if your behaviour management didn't work, take stock, go home, have a cup of tea, or, go and do some yoga, go and do some self-care, then sit down and go, why didn't it go well? And really just, rather than go, it was all my fault, and stack all the problems onto you. So the next day you go stressed, or the next time you see them you're stressed because, oh, this went terribly wrong, it's going to go terribly wrong again. No, if you can identify why it went wrong, then you can look at that area and develop it and improve it. So be careful, particularly for young teachers, not to stack the failure completely onto you and self-criticise. We all make mistakes, we all get it wrong. It doesn't matter if you've been teaching for 1 year, or you've been teaching for 23 years, or you've been teaching for 40 years. The second tip is to seek support in your school and advice. Do not be afraid to ask for help, which can be very difficult to do when you're isolated in a classroom all day. And it can, and if you're teaching 6 or 7 lessons in a row, it's hard to get out and speak to other adults. But it's really important you to do. You go into the staff room and say, oh, I had a really tough time with this class. Anybody give me some advice? And you'll find that 5 other people in the staff room will say, yeah, I've got a problem with that class, or yeah, this child's had this problem this week. Or they might go, actually, this issue happened. And you go, oh, that makes much more sense. So don't stack inside yourself and hide in your room. Go and talk. Go and find colleagues and go and express and ask for help. It is okay. Now, you might always get the help that you need. You might always get some person who's a bit judgmental, but you get that in any industry. You get that outside in normal everyday life. My advice is find teachers who the children really like and respect. Go and observe them. There is not enough observation done of good practice, of good teachers. You can go and watch a lesson with a good teacher and you come away with 5 behaviour management strategies, 5 interactions, how they have great classroom relationships with their students, how they pace their lessons, what they're doing. You can come away with some amazing ideas. Do not be afraid to go and see other teachers. And good teachers, teachers who care about teaching, will be happy for you to come in the room and will open their door. So go and observe, go and learn from other colleagues in your building, because if you teach music, the maths teacher may have some amazing strategies. And the children will tell you who the good teachers are. Ask your form group or your mentor group, or one of your classes, and say, hey, who do you really respect? Which teachers are doing a great job? Which classes do you really enjoy? And they'll tell you, go and see those teachers, go and learn from them. It's amazing how much your own personal practice will improve from observation. And my final tip is, if you're working in an environment that it's really hard to find those supportive colleagues, and there are some schools that are a little bit like that, then don't be afraid to reach out to others in the community who teach your subject. Music can get very lonely because often there's only one teacher, or you're one teacher and a part-timer, or one teacher and some visiting instrumental teachers, and you don't really get anybody to bounce ideas from, so you can get really stale, or I don't know how to teach this in a better way, or I just need a new idea. And particularly, if you've been teaching for a while, it's really hard to keep coming up with new ways and keep reinvigorating your curriculum and making it exciting and accessible. So don't be afraid to reach out to your instrumental teachers, or to reach out online in the community. This is a great place for you to reach out and talk to other music specialists online on YouTube. Follow these videos, put comments, ask for help. And we'll be there to help you. We want music education to thrive. We're supportive of our music colleagues. So don't be afraid. I've been on some great forums and groups on Facebook where colleagues are sharing resources all the time and good practice, and they totally understand the issues the music teacher has. How to run your band, how to get students engaged in music making, how to manage your time, how to put a concert on, or advocating for the subject. They all completely understand. So do not hide, do not revert into yourself if you failed, or if you're having a bad term, or if you're having a bad week. Get help. It's okay. There will be people, I promise you, who will be there to support you. Okay, so I hope these tips are helpful. And again, whether you're a new teacher, or whether you've been teaching 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years, it's perfectly okay to fail from time to time. And we just need to self-reflect, go and observe, and reach out and speak and get help. It's really very important. I'm Rachel Hardman. This is Passionate About Music Education. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video or it's helpful in any way, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, to leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.